Welcome back to another Amiibo Highlights. Today we're finally going to be tackling down my top 10 as opposed to 5 because I can't do 5 for Super Smash Brothers. This definitely was hard. This definitely was something that took time, and honestly it's kind of the reason why I did everything else before Super Smash Brothers. There's just too many of them. I couldn't do it from 5. I couldn't do 5. I had to do 10, and even at 10 I couldn't do 10. But so I had to choose 10. I really like them all, which is also right off the bat. This rule will apply for the next 2 videos, for Super Smash Brothers and the Ultimate counterpart. This video is not for all of Super Smash Brothers. This is only for the initial wave of Super Smash Brothers characters that have come out for the Wii U and 3DS. There will be a separate top 10 for the version that came out on the Switch, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. There's almost just as many Amiibo. There is obviously more Amiibo on the Wii U side of things, but there are a slew of Amiibo that was released for Super Smash Brothers Ultimate that I feel like it needs its own separate video with its own top, and we're gonna do that on a separate video. So we're only gonna focus on the ones that came out on the Wii U and 3DS. And once again, these are in no particular order from most favorite to least favorite. They just are some of my personal that I have chosen. I could choose a lot more, but these 10 kind of stood out to me a little bit more than anything else. We're going to start off right here. He's just closest to me, and that's Robin. I really do like the way that he looks. I am actually working on a different Robin right now. Work in progress. His hair is actually gone to redo my female Robin. So that will be another work in progress on there that I'll go about later on once I find the right filament to do the hair, to see if I 3D print a hair or whether if I sculpt it or anything like that. We'll go from there. Just another project that I have. But I really do like the colors on Robin. I've always liked Robin in Fire Emblem. It's actually who I upgraded first in there. So I use him in Fire Emblem. The Fire Emblem Heroes, it's kind of like that Dynasty Warrior spinoff that they have. I use him a lot. I really like the character. I'm not the greatest with Robin. I really like the concept of how Robin works as a fighter, which is really cool because it's, once again, it's that, oh my gosh, there's another Fire Emblem character in Super Smash Brothers, and I get that, 8 characters in Super Smash Brothers that are all from one series, but we can do that. That's fine. I mean, just as long as you give it something unique, and Robin does have a unique skill set, and he does have a unique gameplay that's not typically your Fire Emblem clone character. So it's another reason why I really like him. Really like the black and gold, and once again the purple, and it's on the inside too, so the inside detail is also really nice. This is when I really started actually looking as well. It was really with Wave 2 and Wave 3. I mean, even Wave 1 does show some detail, and Princess Peach is a really good example of that. But Wave 2 and Wave 3 really showed it's like, well, okay, well, this is, Amiibo is kind of a little different from things like, and not to say that they're not, because they're fantastic figures, Skylanders and Disney Infinity, to where Skylanders, it does have a lot of intricacy in there, but they are, in a sense, kind of like for kids. And while this also is for kids, they're not going to short any detail on there. And Disney Infinity is another one. Disney Infinity looks very basic because it's very stylized, but they do things very well. Like the Disney Infinity figures, for as kiddie-ish as they look fantastic. Next up, we have Mario. Absolutely one of my favorites of Wave 1 because I love the way that they give these effect parts. I think it's one of the coolest things. And then the thing that doesn't catch a lot of people, just because it's kind of hiding right here, and it doesn't catch it on the camera, so you don't really see it, but you only really see it in person. There is a little bit of yellow tinting going on the inside of his denim, and that's just because they wanted to make the reflection of the fire hit his overalls to make it give that effect look. And that was really like why I chose Mario, is because they put that much kind of attention to detail with an effect part on here. Which is kind of sad because a lot of characters don't do effect parts. I feel like Mario kind of got that little spotlight because of course, he's kind of like the main mascot of Nintendo. So that he had to get that little fireball, which I really wish that other characters got, but really, really cool nonetheless, though. As I was mentioning with the Super Mario series, I told you I would mention that here. His overalls is kind of weird because of that denim kind of, so it has that texture of it makes it look like denim. And it's not that it's weird, it's very cool looking, because the regular Mario just has it where it's just a basic blue plastic, just overalls. Here you can actually kind of see that they went out of their way to make like this detail for him, and the stitching for the jeans, the denim on here. You'll see it a little bit more here too on the top. So nice gold button overalls, buttons. Really cool figure. One of my all-time favorites. One of my favorite versions of Mario for sure. So absolutely love the way that he looks. Next up we have Bayonetta. And I chose this Bayonetta over the other Bayonetta simply because of the hair. It was mostly because of the hair. And this little sash, her little hair tie going on over here. This is a big, wide figure for typically what Amiibo were coming out for. This is when they really started changing things, and we'll see that more in the next video with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's Amiibo releases. But this is kind of when they kind of like broke the mold of, you know, we can only do things that limits us to the stand. So, and while we do get these really awkward, odd pieces of plastic kind of connecting on here, you don't really pay attention to them as much later on, because you're just more focused on the rest of the figure itself and the detail of the rest of the figure and how much they put into it. So that way it gives that effect of like her hair is just flowing everywhere as she's doing her taunt dance. And I think that's really cool how they did that. Also, this is like a really great way to have a piece of Bayonetta merch without dishing out an arm and a leg, and it's a great representation for a fantastic video game franchise, I think. So if you're just a Bayonetta fan, just for being a Bayonetta fan, I automatically thought this one, just because it catches the spirit of Bayonetta, and I absolutely love that. Next up we have Fox. This is also a Wave 1 Amiibo that came out, and you can see right off the bat, once again, you know, there's all that detail for the inside of his jacket, his scarf, all these zippers and all these buttons. This is, you know, first release Amiibo. Absolutely fantastic what they did with this. This is one of the best representations I can think of to have like a Star Fox, you know, anything Star Fox representing on your shelf. This is like one of the best things they can do that they've done for it. I absolutely love the way that he looks. Fantastic figure. Absolutely fantastic figure. And I thought this was a great representation of having something Star Fox in your collection without having to break an arm and leg, because those World of Nintendo figures are getting a little bit pricey. And I know Fox is not the easiest to find, but really cool way to have a Star Fox character, a representation on your shelf. And also just the amount of detail, once again, this is a Wave 1 Amiibo, the amount of detail that went into Fox's design, absolutely love him. I love him as a character. Really nice the way that they did a scanner. You can kind of still see his eye back there, so they didn't kind of skimp out on his eye. Just really, really cool detail. I love Fox in the game. He's really cool. Really nice looking. I mean, his reflector has even got little gold indents inside of it. Really cool. He's got the little Star Fox logo down here in the back. See if it will focus. There it goes. Little Star Fox logo there in the back. Really awesome. Yeah, out of him and Falco, I had to choose. I don't know. I think Fox looks a little better because there's a little bit more going on in there. Not to say that nothing's wrong with Falco either, because he looks absolutely fantastic. But I just think there's a little bit more color going on with Fox than there is Falco, so I chose Fox. They're both fantastic. They're all fantastic, really. Next up, we have Duck Hunt. I absolutely love the way that this guy looks. I love how this this piece right here kind of gives it that kind of facade of the duck is flying, and the duck is actually its own separate piece, which is really cool. You know, it's not attached to the back of the dog as just like if he was sitting down on here. I love the way that the duck look. He looks adorable. I love the duck in the game. He's got a little bit of attitude sometimes. So I like their dynamic as well. I like how they work as kind of like a Banjo-Kazooie almost-esque kind of character. And even though, funny enough, we got Banjo-Kazooie later on. But it also works as well as that you're playing as not only the duck and the dog, but you're playing as a person that's kind of using the NES zapper, zapping things with their special attacks close by, and it makes it look like the duck is doing the stuff, but in reality, or the duck or the dog, but in reality, it's supposed to be you actually doing these things, which is meta because, you know, that is you playing the Duck Hunt character as well. I love their dynamic. I love how they work. I think it's really cool. There's another game that is out there that's called Multiverses, and my favorite character in there is Tom and Jerry because of the dynamic works is very, very similar to this, and it just makes a lot of sense. So I like how they work in the game. That's kind of why I chose them here as well. But I love the way that they look here too, because you just get two awesome looking figures, you know, doing just this action pose, and it's really great looking. I absolutely love it. All right, next up we have Mega Man. Oh man, this, I'm gonna have to lower down, let's see here. There we go. I'm gonna lower down the lighting just a little bit so you can catch it better on the screen. This is fantastic. I feel like, in my opinion, this is kind of like a fresh breather that Capcom gave to Mega Man right at the time, because I guess that within talks with Sora Unlimited and Capcom to put Mega Man as a fighter in Super Smash Brothers, and the way that he looks and his amiibo, I feel like it gave it a fresh breath air to the Mega Man franchise again, and Capcom started working on Mega Man stuff all of a sudden. You know, they made remakes and compilation games, and they made Mega Man 11 that came out shortly afterwards. So it was really nice that they did that. The collaboration gave Mega Man a breath of fresh air into its franchise again. And the Mega Man amiibo, not only does it look really cool, not only is he cool in game, to put him in Super Smash Brothers, he's just a really, really nice figure. Just overall, this metallic blue is just awesome. I hope that comes out great on the camera. The lighter blue is also kind of pearlescent. That doesn't show up as much on the camera as the blue metallic, which is cool too. I really like the way that they did this amiibo. I really was going to think that they were just going to go with like some normal blue looking just color, just a more reminiscent his old school Nintendo style, but this metallic just really makes him stand out on all the rest of the shelf. Very different looking as opposed to a lot of the amiibo in the Super Smash Brothers line, to where they kind of look like their video game counterparts a lot. And not to saying that this doesn't, but Mega Man, the Mega Man that we see, even up into like the 16-bit era where we see like Mega Man 7, you know, it's not a metallic blue. We just know him, you know, just to have this normal blue, but just to give this extra detail of metallic to his armor just really makes him pop out in comparison to a lot of the other amiibo, and I really do like them about him. Next up we have is Roy, and it's funny, I chose Roy because his amiibo is what really made the difference for me in as the actual, like, the design, as opposed to the change itself that they made in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, or in Wii U and 3DS and in Ultimate, because he reuses the same outfit. But my initial reaction with Roy is that I didn't mind the fact that they changed him in terms of, you know, his little bit of fighting changes, and just to make him a little bit different from the other characters, because he is essentially almost like a clone. He is like a semi-clone of Marth. What got me more was his aesthetics. I didn't like the fact that they changed him into this outfit as opposed to what he was wearing in Super Smash Bros. Melee. I'll probably maybe put a picture up here so you can see the differences on there. But I feel like I liked that outfit more than I did this one. more until when the Amiibo came out. So when the Amiibo came out, I started looking at how awesome these details were and how his armor actually works and everything, and I like it a lot better now. And it's thanks to the figure itself that I like it a lot better now. The only gripe with the figure itself is that the sword looks a little bit smaller, and that's because it's kind of hiding all behind his back on here, and it probably looks like it could be longer, at least probably up to here. But none other than that, I mean, everything looks absolutely great. Like his pauldrons look great. I mean, the gold even goes on the inside of here, and that's, once again, these DLC Amiibo really kind of started breaking the mold of, I think, the Amiibo scaling in the beginning, where everything was kind of small, and we see those kind of early things like DDD having kind of that issue, and Samus kind of having that issue, but not so much with other characters. I don't know. I maybe Nintendo is just kind of like they pick and choose which ones they want to do that with. But I felt like when it came more to the DLC start, I think they kind of broke that limitation. And even with Ultimate, you see that now. All the Amiibo that were released in Ultimate kind of don't really, they're kind of bigger than their Wii U and 3DS counterparts. But really cool. I love the way that the headband is kind of whooshing in the wind here. And it's really still a sturdy piece of plastic, so it's not going to come off anytime soon. The marking on the back of his cape, really cool. His cape is also torn. I think the ongoing joke is that nobody's cape is actually torn, with the exception of, I think, Martha and Lucina. Oh, I think so, at least. I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure everybody's cape, other than that, like Ike, Crom, Ganondorf, everybody else's, Roy's, everybody else's, K. Rool's cape is torn, except for Martha and Lucina. So, all right, next up we have Rob. Miniaturized Amiibo version of Rob. This is a very cool representation of the figure itself, both, you know, as for the fighter and just as for just video game memorabilia. You don't want a huge robotic operating buddy. I know half of the time, sometimes they don't even work. I'm okay with having this little guy. He actually kind of goes really well with my NES Mini, so it's nice to have these little two together on there, sitting there. So really cool little representation of Rob. I love how they used these clear, translucent pieces of plastic for his eyes. So it would have been really cool if they made one. This is just painted, actually, but it would have been really cool if there was also another piece of translucent plastic right here that was see-through, that can kind of go over here and give a little bit of shine, like a light piping effect, like old robot toys used to do. It does say Rob down here in the bottom, robotic operating buddy, which I thought was pretty cool. That's kind of like a decaled on there, water decaled. And then there's another one on this side that's painted on there that has this little on-off switch, which is kind of cool that detail is there. This little phone cable connection to operate the torso is on here. Just a really nice representation of Rob in just a miniaturized form. I think this is like really cool because it uses a different type of plastic, almost as if they used the same type of plastic that they used back then for those consoles to give that effect and feel as well. So it's not like the softer looking plastic that we're getting here with that paint, that soft paint that's on there. No, this is really kind of rough. So you can see that there are places that they kind of broke them off of what it looks like to be a tree, or some flashing that happened on just the piece itself. And that is kind of really like reminiscent of those old school pieces of plastic that used to come off on here. I'm not sure if it's the way that it looks like on the camera or just the lighting in the house or the way I'm looking at him. He might be a little bit yellowed too, which is kind of sad and ironic because he's kind of imitating an old thing that has this old problem with plastic, and he's kind of imitating that. But he's a really cool figure. I like him a lot. Definitely, I definitely, he was one of the first that I did choose out of favorites, I will say. I didn't have a problem choosing him. Most of them I did, I'll be honest. I think Mario was an exception. I think Mega Man was an exception, but this was not this was not an exception at all. As soon as I looked at my Amiibo shelf, I immediately picked this guy because of the way that he stands out a lot. Just like Mega Man, he kind of stands out a lot for his own reasons. You know, he has this different type of plastic. He doesn't really fit in as type of like a fighter as much because he is more of like a miniature version of an accessory for the Nintendo that came out and just so happened to make itself a fighter. as a fighter. So this is kind of breaking the wall of like, this is an accessory that the player uses, and it's used as a fighter. And I thought that was really cool. It's just being a representation of the device and the fighter at the same time. So that's why I chose him. It's why I like him a lot. Next up, we have Captain Falcon. Absolutely love the way that he looks. Once again, action pose. I know that a lot of people have complained about this leg thing going on here, this little crutch, and you know, over time you just kind of ignore it. But once you look past that, I mean, it's just really cool. There is a lot of detail going on and a lot of like different parts for like paint for his buckle. That's all a different color. This right here for his buckles back here are also a different color as opposed to his armor pieces. Just everything is just really cool. I have a little issue with mine where it has a little bit of scratching right here, but other than that, he looks fantastic. I love his blue Falcon insignia back here with the 7 for his number of his vehicle. He just is one of the, like, I don't know, really great looking figure in amiibo form. And once again, that's that aspect of having something F-Zero related, you know, that's not a video game, as video game memorabilia. So one of the things that's really unfortunate about the F-Zero series, at least to my knowledge, is that there's not a lot of F-Zero memorabilia, and I guess it is kind of hard to do F-Zero memorabilia for it, other than, you know, you have your characters like this, so like Captain Falcon, little statuette, or, you know, of the racers. I feel almost like it's a missed opportunity, though, because, you know, just not too long ago, Nintendo started releasing, with collaboration with Mattel and Hot Wheels, to make these little Mario Kart figures, and I thought that was a really cool idea. And they released, you know, tracks for these and everything like that. And they have, you know, little corkscrews, and they have, you know, loops and all that kind of stuff, just like an F-Zero track would be, or like in Mario Kart 8. I feel like they could take this formula right here and implement it into F-Zero. You can make F-Zero versions of these cars with little wheels down here on the bottom, as opposed to over here. You can make little F-Zero cars and would have them on these upside down tracks and everything. And the Hot Wheels tracks almost look like futuristic tracks anyway, so it'd almost be like an F-Zero race to begin with. I think that would be really cool if they did something like that with these little cars. But it's really cool to have a F-Zero representative for my shelf, and I'm glad that it's Captain Falcon because he looks amazing. I love him in the game. I love his personality. It really kind of represents that here too. So really, really cool looking. And last on here, we have Bowser Jr. I absolutely love the way that this guy looks. He has his little bib down here in the bottom with the design for his mouth that turns him into Shadow Mario. His shell is actually like a green metallic. Really, really cool detail on there that they did. I love the way that he has his pose, like, you know, he is a little menacing, like just a little menacing Bowser. I absolutely love it. And then his Koopa Clown car, which is, I think, the highlight of the whole amiibo. I love the way that this thing looks. I love how it just gives him this much more little heft and this just kind of like this menacing little thing. So I was thinking about putting one of the Koopa mechs on here, just on the base, but there wasn't enough space for it. Just the way that it would kind of just hang over the edge of the base, because it really does take up the whole base of the amiibo. I also like how the propeller is actually, you know, technically floating. It's not attached to the base itself. There's this plastic that's under it that's kind of making him float, which is nice. But the Mecha Koopa, I was intending on gluing it on there, but there wasn't enough space on there, so I put it on this Wendy custom that I made on here with the Jazzwares figure. And as a side note, my only gripe about this amiibo in general is that we kind of didn't get the rest of them. I understand that Nintendo probably wouldn't see as many sales, but with as much popularity as the Koopalings have gotten over the years, I'm really surprised that we did not see 7 other Bowser Jr. releases as amiibo for Koopalings, which is kind of unfortunate, but, you know, that didn't kind of stop me, because I ended up using the Jazzwares figures itself, or not the Jazz, I guess they're Jazzwares, right? What's the company that, I forget the company that makes these, but Jack Specific, I think. They made their versions of the Koopalings as these little 2-inch figures, which scale perfectly with Super Smash Brothers, and the Super Mario series amiibo. So I made custom bases for them, and they have all Bowser Jr. NFCs inside of them. So we have 7 little Koopalings on here too, so which is really great. But yeah, definitely Bowser Jr. is one of my favorites, just because the biggest thing was the Koopa Clown car. I also managed to get this Bowser Jr. a little bit earlier than the wave that came out with him, Palutena and Dark Pit. They were scheduled to release, I think, in July of the year that they were releasing. I managed to pick him up in, funny enough, April from Amazon of the UK. So they had him released earlier, and I managed to pick him up a whole couple of months ahead of time. So I was able to use him, Palutena, and Dark Pit right before, way before we got him here in the United States. So there we have it, folks. That's a look at my top 10 Super Smash Bros. Amiibo. This was a lot harder than I thought it would be. There are a lot of Amiibo that I really do like, and I have a slew of them here on the side as well that you know, I just was still counting down every single one of them as I was going down. I'm like, well, there's a lot of them that I still do like, and there's a lot of them on the shelf that I still do like. I just put back Zelda not too long ago, but, you know, Toon Link is another one. Olimar is another one. Sheik. I can go on and on. This Mewtwo. Unfortunately, this Mewtwo is suffering from a little bit of yellowing on it. The same with this Ryu, actually. I'm going to see if I can try fixing them both. The sun here in Florida and the humidity kills plastics sometimes. So, and I've already had this happen with both my Dr. Mario and my Pit, to where it started yellowing on things like the wings and the scrubs. So, but anyways, the list was a lot harder, and as you saw, there are a lot of Amiibo that I still do like, because I love having a representation of something like this, having a representation of Street Fighter, for an example, on my shelf. Just, you know, that video game history over time, just having it on there, and just having, you know, different franchises all together displaying on here on the shelf, seeing different aspects of video games. It's really cool. I really do enjoy the collecting for Amiibo, and it's not only just because of Super Smash Brothers, because it is a great, phenomenal game that has brought me so much friendship and so much joy over the years. It's actually one of my very first games for the N64 that I remember playing. It's always been a constant thing that I've always wondered why in Melee we didn't get these sooner. So I'm glad that we did, because now we have a slew of them. And it's just, once again, it's just cool to have a nice representation of so many different franchises of video games, especially now at Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and that will be our next video here, of just showing so many different franchises just being available on the shelf to display. So, folks, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your patience. I do apologize once again. You know, I'm not able to make any requests or anything like that until Friday, and then we might be going to get tires changed for our car anyways. So it might not be until the weekend, until after the weekend, because we still have to do the system transfer, and I still have to figure out what's going on with the Switch, if I can power it on to transfer over at least my data, or either buy Nintendo Switch Online to get our data back to it, especially for Animal Crossing for my wife. And then I do need the DLC back for Super Smash Bros. So I can continue making requests. I really do appreciate your patience and waiting and everything like that for me to get the Switch. It is going to be an expense, once again, out of my pocket. It's just an unexpected expense, so we do have to budget and look around for things. And luckily I sold a couple of video game consoles for my collection, so I don't really need those two consoles anymore. So that really did help a little bit on there. But stay tuned for tomorrow's video, where we're going to take a look at all of the Super Smash Brothers, or at least my top 10 as well. We're going to do a top 10 on that one, because believe it or not, there is a lot more Amiibo than Ultimate seems to believe. You know, that usually there's only the speculation of Ultimate, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Amiibo being only the ones that came out, only the characters that came out for Ultimate, but there are 10 characters, almost 10 characters, I think, that were re-released that from previous Smash games. So stay tuned tomorrow so that way we can take a look at my top 10 Smash Ultimate Amiibo. Folks, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting, and take care, and we'll see you next time. Smash on.